Shabbat Shalom and happy new moon day. We're the first day of the second month, and this marks the fifth Torah portion. We will be covering Genesis chapter 22, verse 1, all the way to 25, verse 18. So yes, we're going to stop halfway through 25 because we're in the parts of the Torah where we really trying to keep certain stories together. And that being said, let's just cut straight to before we go into the timeline, I'm about to just start rolling. Let's get our initial prayer in to get this started. Now, even regardless if you're here now or you're watching this later, ask for the guidance and the blessing to understand his Torah. Heavenly Abba, Haya in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thank you for allowing us to be here in your presence, Abba. Allow us to become true disciples, not disciples of vanity, to not walk after the lust of our own hearts, to not be the wisest person in the room, to not just be someone that's just filled with wisdom that is pointless. We want everything to be directed back to you. We understand that the whole duty of mankind is to fear you and to keep your commandments, Abba. So we are here studying your Torah line by line, seeking to do just that. We ask for protection in this line of fellowship and understanding through the Ruach Kodesh to embody each and every one of us. And we thank you for allowing us to be here in your light on your Shabbat. In the name of Yasha, HaMashiach, Amen. All right. So where I was saying, we're going to the timeline now because we're trying to keep this. That's why, like I said, I'm stopping in the middle of chapter 25 because I want to keep it in the story. Last week ended with pretty much the birth of Isaac. So we're right around the beginning of Isaac's life right now. And this Torah portion is going to cover pretty much the entirety of Isaac's life, right? And that's cutting chapter 25 in half is because it's the intro of Esau and Jacob. And I want the bulk of Esau and Jacob's life to be in one Torah portion, at least, like I said, the bulk of their prime of their life. And I believe the way I have it set up is at the end of next Torah portion is going to be the intro of the 12 patriarchs and whatnot. So right now we're going to cover about right here all the way to the right before the beginning of Jacob and Esau. So before I was like laughing to myself because in the first few Torah portions, man, we're covering huge, massive time. But here on out, that's what it's going to look like. It's just going to be like maybe 300 years at a time now, if that, depending on Torah portions. It's just going to be so much more, condensed than what it has been in a sense of time throughout each Torah portion. All right, let's hop to it. Genesis chapter 22. We're going to read 1 through 2, and then I'm going to stop it. Let's do this.
Genesis 22. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of.
All right. There's a lot, actually a real lot to unfold in just these 2 verses, which is why we stop right there. We're going to start off in the Targum. It reads a little different. We just want to unfold and make sure we're fully gathering understanding. So the first 2 verses of chapter 22 in the Aramaic Targum. That's the Targum is translation. So Aramaic translation. Let's go to that. All right. All right. Let me see, just get a stopping point here to the, okay, we're reading all the way to there. And it was after these things that Isaac and Ishmael contended. And Ishmael said, "It is right that I should inherit what is the father's, because I am his firstborn son." And Isaac said, "It is right that I should inherit what is the father's," obviously Abraham, "because I am the son of Sarah, his wife. Thou art the son of Hagar, the handmaid of my mother." Ishmael answered and said, "I am more righteous than thou, because I was circumcised at 13 years. And if it had been my will to hinder, they should not have delivered me to be circumcised. But thou was circumcised at a child 8 days. If thou hadst had knowledge, perhaps they could not have delivered thee to be circumcised." Isaac responded and said, "Behold, now, today, I am 36 years old." This is very important right here, y'all. Isaac was not a child in this chapter. The Bible doesn't give the information that we're reading now. The Masoretic doesn't give this information, but everyone in church and anything, they depict Isaac, because if you don't know by now, this chapter that we're getting into is where Abraham offers up Isaac, the very big deal story. And everyone has Isaac as a child right here. He's older than me right now. That's like myself deciding to do this. I'm a grown man. My dad wouldn't be strong enough to force me to even do this. I just want to put that in perspective. I'm now stronger than what my dad was. So this is just as much Isaac's decision as Abraham's. Very important detail. "And if the Holy One," now listen to what Isaac says here, "and if the Holy One, blessed be he, were to acquire all my members, I would not delay." These words were heard before Haya, the Most High of the world, and the Word, Messiah of the Most High, at once tried Abraham and said to him, "Abraham." And he said, "Behold me." And he said, "Take now thy son, thy only one, whom thou lovest, Isaac, and go into the land of worship and offer him there a whole burnt offering upon one of the mountains that I will tell thee." Excuse me. All right. So wowzers. And this is a great precept to lead us right into the book of Jasher, because Jasher tells us, roughly the same story from a different angle. Now we're going to Jasher chapter 22. I'm going to read 40 through 55. So in the Bible, all of this is condensed into 2 verses. But holy moly, look how much information and understanding there is just in these 2 verses of the initial offering of Isaac. It wasn't just something out the blue to test him. It was Isaac initially verbally said that he would take it, which gave the Most High the idea in the at least how it's written. And we're going to see that Hasatan plays his role in everything as well. All right, 40, verse chapter 22. "And Isaac, the son of Abraham, was growing up in those days. And Abraham, his father, taught him the way of the Most High, to know the Most High. And Haya was with him. And when Isaac was 37, Ishmael, his brother, was going about with him in the tent. And just to put these in perspective real quick, not trying to jump around, we're going to stay right here in chapter 22. But out of nowhere, Ishmael's back on the scene while they're adults, right? You have Isaac being 37 and Ishmael, I think it's 14 years older than him. So two grown men. But if we go to the top of this chapter, it tells us real quick, let me read the first 3 verses just so we understand where Ishmael is, why Ishmael's back on the scene. Because last time we read last week, he was still a child and Hagar was sent away, etc. Now Ishmael's back here while they're grown. Well, let me read. And Ishmael then rose up and took, so I'm reading 1 through 3, verse 22. This is still in Jasher. And his children and his cattle and all his belongings to him. And he journeyed from there and went to his father in the land of the Philistines. And Abraham related to Ishmael, his son, the transaction with the first wife. If you want to know about what happened with the first wife, this is homework assignment, read chapter 21 of the book of Jasher. Not getting into that. It's a little extra. It's just a side story to all of this that Ishmael took according to what she did. And Ishmael and his children dwelt with Abraham many days in that land. And Abraham dwelt in that land of the Philistines a long time. So after Ishmael's first wife, he divorced her and got a righteous wife. And afterwards, this is when Ishmael rose up and he took his second wife and his children and he came to live with Abraham. So that sets the scene of where we're at, why Isaac and Ishmael are having these conversations together, because now they're two grown men living on the same land with Abraham, their father. Right. She was evil. Abraham told Ishmael to get rid of her, in a nutshell. And so Ishmael did that, and he decided to come live with his father, at least on his father's land, which is, like I said, sets the scene for where we're at now. Okay. I felt like that was needed because Ishmael, to me, just came out of nowhere. And once we read, we're going to read that it doesn't mention Ishmael at all in chapter 22 in at least the KJV or Masoretic translation. So I just want to put that in perspective. All right, let's get back on it now. All right, so 40, okay, so I just now, all right, 42. And Ishmael boasted of himself to Isaac. So this is just, completely brotherly love. This is what brothers do, right? They push each other in a lot of different ways. Saying, I was 13 years old when the Most High spoke to my father to circumcise us, and I did according to the word of the Most High, which he spoke to my father, and I gave my soul unto the Adon, and I did not transgress his word, which he commanded my father. So this is the same exact second witness that we got from the Targums. Very cool, right? 43, and Isaac answered Ishmael, saying, why dost thou boast to me about this? About a little bit of thy flesh, which thou didst take from thy body, concerning which the Adon commanded thee. As Haya liveth, the Alahai of my father Abraham, if the Adon should say unto my father, take now thy son Isaac and bring him up an offering before me, I would not refrain, but I would joyfully accede to it. This is Isaac's idea, y'all. You would have no idea in the modern Bible because it's condensed to 2 verses. But we just had 2 witnesses. The Aramaic Targum and Jasher clarifies that this is what was spoken when he was speaking to his brother Isaac. And the Adon heard the word that Isaac spoke to Ishmael, and it seemed good. See, the Most High heard the word that Isaac spoke to Ishmael, and it seemed good in the sight of the Adon, and he thought to try Abraham in this matter. So Isaac is being tried as well. That is he going to back up what he spoke? But Isaac has already made it clear that he was down for the cause. It was his idea. So this is really about trying Abraham in this matter, since it came from Isaac. And the day arrived when the sons of Elohim came and placed themselves before the Most High. And Satan, this sounds like the book of Job right here. And Satan also came with the sons of Elohim before the Adon. And the Adon said unto Satan, whence cometh thou? And Satan answered the Adon and said, from going to here and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down it. And the Most High said to Satan, what is thy word to me concerning all the children of the earth? And Satan answered the Adon and said, I have seen all the children of the earth who serve thee and remember thee when thou acquire anything from them. And when thou givest them the thing which they require from thee, they sit at their ease and forsake thee, and they remember thee no more. Hast thou seen Abraham, the son of Terah, who at first had no children, and he served thee and erected altars to thee wherever he came, and he brought up offerings upon them, and he proclaimed thy name continually to all the children of the earth. And now that his son Isaac is born to him, he has forsaken thee. He has made a great feast for all the inhabitants of the land, and Haya he has forgotten. For amidst all that he has done, he brought thee no offering, neither burnt offering, nor peace offering, neither ox, lamb, nor goat, of all that he killed on the day that his son was weaned. Even from the time of, and that's another thing, I've been talking about that milk and meat, right? When his son was weaned, it's a big deal for a son to be weaned off of milk. Even from the time of his son's birth till now, being 37 years, he built no altar before thee, nor brought any offering to thee, for he saw that thou didst give what he requested before thee, and he therefore forsook thee. And the Adon said to Satan, hast thou thus considered my servant Abraham? For there is none like him upon earth, a perfect and upright man before thee. So we read that he built the whole life of Isaac. Abraham gave no offerings. This is before the commandments at Mount Sinai, where, you know, they're commanded no matter what to do certain offerings in the priesthood, the Levitical priesthood. But the reason why there is no altar and no offerings is because Abraham was perfect. Remember, obedience is better than sacrifice. Abraham chose obedience where there was no need for a sacrifice offering. That's how that worked. An upright man before me, one that feareth Elohim and avoideth evil, as I live, were I to say unto him, bring up thy son before me, he would not withhold him from me. Much more if I told him to bring up a burnt offering before me from his flock or herds. And Satan answered the Most High and said, speak then now unto Abraham as thou hast said, and thou wilt see whether he will not this day transgress and cast aside thy words. Ooh, and all of that is all in the first two verses in the Masoretic, but we're not done. Let's go to Jubilees 17. It also bears witness of this account. 16 and 18. And the prince Mastema, Satan, the adversary, came and said before Elohim, behold, Abraham loves Isaac his son, and he delights in him above all things. Bid him offer him as a burnt offering on the altar, and thou wilt see if he will do this command, and thou wilt know if he is faithful in everything wherein thou dost try him. And the Most High knew that Abraham was faithful in all his afflictions, for he had tried him through his country and with famine, and had tried him with the wealth of kings, and had tried him again through his wife when she was torn from him, and with circumcision. And he tried him through Ishmael and Hagar, his maidservant, when he sent them away, and in everything wherein he had tried him, he was found faithful. Oh my goodness. This is what we are praying to be strong for, to endure, and in everything we are tried in, we are found faithful. That good and faithful servant, right? And his soul was not impatient, and he was not slow to act, for he was faithful and a lover of the Most High, Haya. So Abraham was the man. You knew he had to be the man to be chosen amongst every person on earth. He had to be the man, right? All right, and we're going to finish with these two verses, and then we'll get back to Genesis 22. If we saw what Isaac did, Isaac was talking junk with his brother Ishmael. And he goes, I'll up one you with all of what you're boasting on. And I say that if he wanted me to offer myself, I would do that. So understand, there's a reason why we need to watch out, and why the English language is cursed. And it's so much trickery in how we speak, because death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. And Mashiach told us as well in Matthew 12, but I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, oh my goodness, that sounds exactly like what Isaac just did. They shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by the words that thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. And so the idle words between him and his brother he will have to stand firm to be justified by them. Watch out what comes out your mouths. Watch how you speak to folks. Watch how you talk to folks. Watch the vocabulary that comes out your mouth. That's why on certain things, that when it talks about his name and things that are in prayer, it's such importance to make sure you're doing it the right way. And if there is something that is toxic in your vocabulary, especially words that associate with his name and his kingdom, we have to remove those. There's a reason why it's set up that way. And this is why we read the Torah. This was a simple story, right? But there's lessons within the stories, valuable lessons in the stories. It don't matter if you're just talking smack to your brother. They're listening. And if you're going to try to boast the Most High, he's going to test you on that. Be careful what you ask for, because he may give it to you and you may not want it once you got it. It's power in our words. All right. We're going to read verses 3 through 8 now.
And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up, and went unto the place of which God had told him. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes, and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering, and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand, and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father? And he said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together.
And remember, Isaac's not like 12 years old or whatever illustration. Straight up, just Google Isaac Abraham sacrifice, and you'll see a little person. It looks like a child, right? This is a grown 36-year-old man. 37-year-old man, guys. So, like I said, this test is not just Abraham, but it's also testing Isaac if he's going to follow up on what he spoke out boastfully in the Most High's name. All right, so now we're going to talk about the details. I mean, there's so much details that's left out in the regular Masoretic. It goes to show you, or I should just say in the Bible, the Torah, that it goes to show you that there was supposed to be other books that was read along with it. Because we're going to read that it actually tells us who the two young men was with them. And there's just so much details just in these 5 verses right here. So we're going to Jasher chapter 23. I'm going to read 1 through 6. And then I'm going to jump down to verse 20. All right. And at that time, the word, it's Messiah, of course, the word of Hayah came to Abraham, and he said unto him, Abraham, and he said, here I am. And he said to him, take now thy son, thy only son, whom thou lovest, even Isaac, and to go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which shall be shown to thee. For there wilt thou see a cloud in the glory of the Most High. Let me get a drink of water. 1 second. And Abraham said within himself, how shall I separate my son Isaac from Sarah, his mother, in order to bring him up for a burnt offering before the Most High? And Abraham came into the tent, and he sat before Sarah, his wife, and he spoke these words to her. My son Isaac is grown up. Yeah, he's grown up, all right. And he has not for some time studied the service of Elohim. Now tomorrow I will go and bring him to Shem and Eber, his son. And there, so remember, this is school of prophets. Noah just has passed, but remember, it was in the time of Abraham, it was Noah and Shem. Now it's Shem and Eber. And there he will learn the ways of the Most High, for they will teach him to know the Adon, as well as to know that when he prayeth continually before the Most High, he will answer him. Therefore, there he will know the way of serving the Adon, his Elohai. And Sarah said, thou hast spoken well. Go, my Lord, and do unto him as thou hast said, but remove him not at a great distance from me, neither let him remain there too long, for my soul is bound within his soul. And just wanted to read the little details because the story with Sarah develops in the next chapter. And about bringing him to Shem and Eber is not technically a lie, because this does happen after they sacrificed the ram in the stead of Isaac. So just throwing that out there. So now we're going to go down to verse 20 through 57. 20 through 57. You know, we have a lot in Jasher today. So much more of the story. So 20 through 57. Let's get it. And Abraham went with Isaac his son to bring him as an offering before the Adon, as he had commanded him. And Abraham took 2 of his young men with him. And it tells us Ishmael, the son of Hagar, and Eleazar, his servant. These are the 2 young men. I just love these details, right? It's like, well, who's the 2 young men? It's the two men that's closest to Abraham, that's outside of Isaac. His oldest son Ishmael, and his right-hand man servant Eleazar. And they went together with them. And while they were walking in the road, the young men spoke these words to themselves. I love the extra dialogue. Listen up. And Ishmael said to Eleazar, Now my father Abraham is going with Isaac to bring him up for a burnt offering to the Most High as he commanded him. Now when he returneth, he will give unto me all that he possesses to inherit after him, for I am his firstborn. And Eleazar answered Ishmael and said, surely Abraham did cast thee away with thy mother. Ooh, I mean, goodness, this is real smack talk. I'm telling you. And swear that thou shouldst not inherit anything of all his possessions, all he possesses, and to whom will he give all that he has with all his treasures, but unto me his servant, who has been faithful in his house, who has served him night and day, and has done all that he desires me. To me will he bequeath all his death, at his death, all that he possesses. And while this Abraham was proceeding with his son Isaac along the road, Satan is a very big part of the testing. Not only is the test to sacrifice Isaac, but it's also the test to endure and to not allow anything to get you in front of the ways of doing what you have been commanded to do. Satan came and appeared to Abraham in the figure of a very aged man. We have to remember that angels are transformers. Angels can transform and look like a man. Remember, we are made in the image of angels. So they had this image before we did. So they definitely can turn into our image. They just can turn into spirit and fire immediately as well, because that's their God-given ability. Humble and contrite spirit. So he seemed like a good guy. You see that, right? Satan came in the figure of an old man that looked like a decent man. He approached Abraham and said to him, art thou silly or Brutus that thou goeth to do this thing this day to thy only son? For Elohim gave thee a son in thy latter days, in thy old age, and wilt thou go and slaughter him this day because he committed no violence? And wilt thou cause the soul of thy only son to perish from earth? And does thou not know and understand that this thing cannot be from the Most High? For the Most High cannot do unto man such evil upon earth to say to him, go slaughter thy child. And man, this is facts though, right? The Most High is a just Elohim. He's very, very, very righteous. So he is really testing Abraham here, trying to make him think twice that did this come from Hasatan and not the Most High? And Abraham heard this and knew that it was the word of Satan who endeavored to draw him aside from the way of the Most High. But Abraham would not hearken to the voice of Satan, and Abraham rebuked him so that he went away. And we all have this power, family, to rebuke him. And Satan returned and came to Isaac, and he appeared unto Isaac in the figure of a young man, comely and well favored. And this is the point. The Satan is obviously going to masquerade himself as a person or angel of light. I don't understand how people still think they know somebody. And that's why I've been saying, especially over the internet. Would you think Satan's going to be somebody over the internet that's going to be like an ass? It's going to be a jackass that's just going to be saying and acting reckless? No, he's going to be well favored. A lot of people are going to like him, etc., etc. Don't Try to become friends with people online. Stop liking everybody's posts that you met online. You are testing what they're putting out, period. Because you're never going to know who they really are in real life. A lot of people you even know in real life, you don't even know who they really are. You test what they put out with scripture. And he approached Isaac and said unto him, dost thou not know and understand that thy old silly father bringeth thee to the slaughter this day for naught? Now therefore, my son, do not listen nor attend to him, for he is a silly old man. Let not thy precious soul and beautiful figure be lost from the earth. And Isaac heard this and said unto Abraham, hast thou heard, my father, that which this man has spoken? Even thus has he spoken. And Abraham answered his son Isaac and said to him, take heed of him and do not listen to his words, nor attend to him, for he is Satan, endeavoring to draw us aside this day from the commands of Allah. And Abraham still rebuked Satan, and Satan went from them. And seeing he could not prevail over them, he hid himself from them. And he went and passed before them in the road. Satan's, when we read in Jubilee saying that Abraham has passed all tests, look at how much Satan has to do, and Abraham just rolls over him like it's nothing. He transformed himself to a large brook of water in the road. And if you have watched, if you have just watched the Passover study or Ye Are Gods, Satan is in water are very closely related. Remember in Book of Revelation, the whore that stands on many waters. So I don't think it's a coincidence that he transformed himself into a brook of water in the road. And Abraham and Isaac and his two young men reached that place, and they saw a brook large and powerful as the mighty waters. And they entered the brook and passed through it. And the waters at first reached their legs, and they went deeper in the brook, and the water reached up to their necks. And they were all terrified on the account of the water. And whilst they were going over the brook, Abraham recognized that place, and he knew that there was no water there before. And Abraham said to his son Isaac, I know this place in which there was no brook nor water. Now, therefore, it is this Satan who does all this to us, to draw us aside this day from the commands of Elohim. And Abraham rebuked him and said unto him, Haya, rebuke thee, O Satan, be gone from us, for we go by the commandments of Allah. You see that? That's all you got to say, family. We should take pointers from Abraham himself. We especially if you house the Ruach Kodesh, you have full dominion over these spirits. All right. Verse 23, and Satan was terrified at the voice of Abraham. Woo! Oh, snap. That right there, family. Satan, these demons are terrified of you if you are walking in the Ruach. And he went away from them. The place again became dry land as it was at first. And Abraham went with Isaac towards the place that Elohim had told him. And on the third day, there's a lot of third days in scripture. And on the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place at a distance which Elohim had told him of. And a pillar of fire appeared to him that reached from the earth to heaven, and a cloud of glory upon the mountain, and the glory of Elohim was seen in the cloud. This sounds like the Exodus story, right? There's nothing new under the sun. And Abraham said to Isaac, my son, dost thou see in that mountain, which we perceive at a distance, that which I see upon it? And Isaac answered and said unto his father, I see, and lo, a pillar of fire and a cloud. and the glory of the Adon is seen upon the cloud. And Abraham knew that his son Isaac was accepted before the Adon for a burnt offering. Ooh, y'all know what that means. Do y'all know what that means? Isaac was accepted for a burnt offering. Isaac was perfect, like his father. All praises. So I just want to give Isaac a shout out that he is due. This story has always been about Abraham, and I'm giving Abraham his props all throughout this study. But Isaac not only said he would give himself as an offering, he backs it up and he does it. And we see that Isaac was acceptable to be a burnt offering. Isaac was perfect, just like his father. So the connection, the fact that Isaac's part in this shows that he is just as much worthy for the seed, the promised seed, to go through him just as much as Abraham. Because Isaac lived for the Most High. He took what his father taught him and he expounded on it. He walked with his father. He accepted what the sacrifice, if the Most High wanted him to be that, and he was perfect and ready for that day to be sacrificed. I mean, we're going to get to it. I'm getting goosebumps because the father and son moment we're about to read is unbelievable. I mean, to have Abraham as your father and to see that Isaac was just as righteous and perfect as Abraham. I mean, wow, what a combination. And so I just want to say that because it's not just Abraham. There's a reason why Isaac was chosen. That's the point I want to make. And Abraham said unto Eleazar, and so this is where we're at the end. See, you see how much is the details? And so we're at, yes, in verse 5 of chapter 22 of Genesis. And Abraham said unto his young men, abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again to you. This is where we're at in Jasher now. In verse 46, that's the connection with verse 5. And Abraham said unto Eleazar and unto Ishmael his son, do you also see that which we see upon the mountain, which is at a distance? And they answered and said, we see nothing. Wow. It's not for them. All praises. We see nothing more than like the other mountains of the earth. And Abraham knew that they were not accepted before the Adon to go with them. And Abraham said to them, abide ye here with the ass, while I and Isaac, my son, will go to yonder mount and worship there before the Adon, and then return to you. And Eleazar and Ishmael remained in that place as Abraham had commanded. And Abraham took wood for a burnt offering and placed it upon his son Isaac, and he took the fire and the knife, and they both went to that place. And they were going along. Isaac said to his father, behold, I see here the fire and wood. Where then is the lamb that is to be the burnt offering before the Most High? And Abraham answered his son Isaac, saying, the Adon has made choice of thee, my son. See, so in this one, it just says, he asked about it, and it says that God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. This gives more details, right? The detail, he tells Isaac at this point. And Abraham answered his son Isaac, saying, the Most High has made choice of thee, my son, to be, see, a perfect burnt offering instead of the lamb. Unbelievable. Isaac was deemed perfect, and he told Isaac, and let's listen to Isaac's response. And Isaac said unto his father, I will do all. Let me get a drink real quick. I will do all that Haya spoke to thee with joy and cheerfulness of heart. Oh, I'm telling y'all, man, this is getting me emotional. I'm just going to be real with y'all. The connection between Abraham and Isaac and the Most High, Father, Son, with our Heavenly Father, it's unbelievable. I think that I just want to take time because I feel like this is the most overlooked part of this chapter, is this relationship in obedience and why Abraham and Isaac was chosen. It's unbelievable. Listen to the next verse, man. And Abraham again said unto Isaac his son, is there in thy heart any thought or counsel concerning this, which is not proper? Tell me, my son, I pray thee. Oh, my son, conceal it not from thee. So Abraham, you can tell he's looking at his son and he's like, he just really wants his son to want this as much as he does. And Isaac answered his father Abraham and said unto him, O my father, as the Most High liveth, and as thy soul liveth, there is nothing in my heart to cause me to deviate either to the right or to the left from the word. Woo, y'all gotta give me a second. This is hitting me. This is goals right here. This is family goals. This is life goals. This whole story is goals. They have already been tried by Satan. They have conquered Satan. Now they're conquering their own hearts and not allowing their heart, nothing in my heart, to cause them to deviate either right or to the left from the word that has been spoken to thee. Neither limb nor muscle has moved or stirred at this, nor is there in my heart any thought or evil counsel concerning this. Goodness. But I am of joyful. Man, this is heavy, y'all. As y'all can see, this is one of my favorite stories right here. Favorite. All right. Composure. Composure. This is what it's about. I mean, man, this is what it's about. I love it. But I am of joyful and cheerful heart in this matter. And I say, blessed is Haya, who has this day chosen me. You know, it's emotional because, I mean, this is what it's about. Isaac is so honored that he was chosen. And that's what it's about, right? We should, wake up every day. It is just like so honored to be chosen. He's like, whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes. That's what it's about. And that's the whole thing that's getting me is exactly like, because obviously I already read it and it's still hitting me like this because it's like, man, they get it. They get that this life is a test. And he's so honored that he was chosen for such a prominent task. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about this. Woo, man. Oh my goodness, y'all. Woo. Okay. All right. Yes, what an honor to be chosen and to understand your task and your purpose. Oh, is what it's about. All right. Man, this is the most emotional I got on video, man. Y'all got me on this one. I'm glad the video is a little small of me in the corner, right? I'm not blown up in the full picture. But man, to be a living sacrifice and to understand you're chosen to be that. That's what this is in a nutshell. And that's why I want to magnify Isaac's role in this, because it's everything. Isaac isn't a child that doesn't know anything. Isaac's a grown man that's choosing to be perfect with his father in heaven and Abraham, his earthly father. Okay. All right, man. Whoa, that just hit me, man. It hit me. Hopefully I can get through this. I was supposed to be, we're about to finish this at verse 57. I got 2 verses left, and I can't even get through it here. Okay. But I am of joyful and cheerful heart in this matter, and I say, blessed is the Adon who has this day chosen me to be a burnt offering before him. And Abraham greatly rejoiced at the words of Isaac. This was just as much as a decision for Isaac as much as Abraham. And Abraham wanted Isaac to make his decision. He wasn't going to force Isaac to do it. And they went on and came together in that place that the Most High has spoken of. Amen. Right, exactly, Bruce. Look at what Messiah, that just magnifies what Messiah, because Messiah actually did it, right? But Isaac was willing to do it too, and that's why they were chosen. They get it. They get it. All right. So now I'm going to read just verse 3 in the Targums now. Right here. And Abraham rose up in the morning, saddled his ass, took 2 young men with him. And I'm reading this just for a second witness, that Eleazar and Ishmael was the 2, and Isaac his son. And that's really all I need to read. I was just reading that part because, like I said before, I love how the Targums is one of the few witnesses, in Jubilees at times, but a lot of these details are only written in the book of Jasher. But now we have the Targums can also be a second witness to the book of Jasher. So I just wanted to give that with them. All right. We are going to 9:14. We're going to read verses 9 through 14 now.
And they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his...
Excuse me. Okay.
Eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram, caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram, and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh, as it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be seen.
All right, 1 second. All right, we're going to now read verses 9 through 11 in the Targum. Let's see here. 9 through 11. All right, got it. All right, so right here. Yeah, all right. And they came to the place of which the Adon had told him, and Abraham builded there an altar which Adam had built. So this is the details of what I'm saying. So they're saying that this is the original altar of Adam that was the ram was sacrificed on, which had been destroyed by the waters of the deluge, the flood, which Noah has again built it, and which had been destroyed in the age of divisions. And he set the wood in order upon it, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And Isaac answered and said to his father, bind me properly. See, this is a grown man talking. Bind me properly, lest I tremble from the affliction of my soul and be cast into the pit of destruction, and there be found profaneness in thy offering. So he's just saying, I want this to be a true offering, and I don't want to wiggle away once the pain comes in. Now, the eyes of Abraham looked on the eyes of Isaac, but the eyes of Isaac looked towards the angels on high. And Isaac beheld them, but Abraham saw them not. And the angels answered on high, come, behold, how these solitary ones who are in the world kill the one the other. He who slayeth delays not, he who is to be slain reaches forth his neck. And the angel of the Adon called to him from heaven, and he said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, behold me. And we'll just go ahead and stop there. Just wanted to get a little extra details right there. And now we're going back to Jasher, chapter 23. 23 verses 58 through 73. And Abraham approached to build the altar in that place. And Abraham was weeping, and Isaac took stones and mortar until they had finished building the altar. And Abraham took the wood and placed it in order upon the altar which he had built. And he took his son Isaac and bound him in order to place him upon the wood, which was upon the altar, to slay him for a burnt offering before the Most High. And Isaac said to his father, bind me securely, and then place me upon the altar, lest I should turn and move. Another witness from the Targums. And break loose from the force of the knife upon my flesh, and thereof profane the burnt offering. And Abraham did so. And Isaac still said to his father, O my father, when thou shalt have slain me and burnt me for an offering, take with thee that which shall remain of my ashes to bring to Sarah my mother, and to say to her, this is the sweet smelling savor of Isaac. But do not tell her this if she should sit near a well or upon any high place, lest she should cast her soul after me and die. And Abraham heard the words of Isaac, and he lifted up his voice and wept when Isaac spoke these words. Oh my goodness. Could you imagine? At this point, they probably just ugly crying, right? Getting just super deep. And Abraham's tears gushed down upon Isaac, his son, and Isaac wept bitterly. And he said to his father, hasten thou, O my father, and do with me the will of the Most High, our Elohai, as he has commanded thee. And the hearts of Abraham and Isaac rejoiced at this thing which the Most High had commanded them, but the eye wept bitterly while the heart rejoiced. And Abraham bound his son Isaac and placed him on the altar upon the wood, and Isaac stretched forth his neck upon the altar before his father, and Abraham stretched forth his hand to take the knife to slay his son as a burnt offering before Moriah. And at that time, the angels of mercy came before the Most High and spoke to him concerning this Isaac, saying, O Adon, thou art merciful and compassionate king over all that thou hast created in heaven and in earth, and thou supportest them all. Give therefore ransom and redemption instead of thy servant Isaac, in pity, and have compassion upon Abraham and Isaac his son, who are this day performing thy commands. So remember, the angels have our back. If you are a righteous child of the Most High, they will have petitions for you, even though the Most High never intended to sacrifice Isaac. It's still, the angels don't know everything. So the angels are still going to go look at the Most High and plead for you, because they don't know every thought of our Creator. Verse 68. Hast thou seen, O Adon, how Isaac the son of Abraham, thy servant, is bound down to the slaughter like an animal? Now therefore let thy pity be roused for them, O Adon. In that time the Most High appeared unto Abraham and called to him from heaven and said to him, lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him, for now I know that thou fearest Elohim in performing this act, and not withholding thy son, thy only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, a ram was caught in a thicket by his horns. That was the ram which the Adon Elohai had created in the earth in the day that he made earth and heaven. And the Most High had prepared this ram from that day to be a burnt offering instead of Isaac. And this ram was advancing to Abraham when Satan caught hold of him and entangled his horns in the thicket, that he might not advance to Abraham, in order that Abraham might slay his son. And Abraham, seeing the ram advancing to him, and Satan withholding him, fetched him and brought him before the altar. And he loosed his son Isaac from his binding, and he put the ram in his stead. And Abraham killed the ram upon the altar and brought it up as an offering in the place of his son Isaac. Oh gosh. This is I don't know why I'm so emotional today. It's such a good story, especially when you get a lot of this meat. All right, let's finish the chapter now.
And the angel of the Lord called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time, and said, I myself have I sworn, saith the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba. And Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. And it came to pass after these things, that it was told Abraham, saying, Behold, Milcah, she hath also borne children unto thy brother Nahor, Uz his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Kemuel the father of Aram, and Chesed, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Jidlaph, and Bethuel. And Bethuel begat Rebekah. These 8 Milcah did bear to Nahor, Abraham's brother. And his concubine, whose name was Rumah, she bare also Tebah, and Gaham, and Thahash, and Maacah.
All right. So this chapter is the longest chapter, by the way, because I know we're taking a lot of time on it, because this is why we're only covering 3.5 chapters in this Torah portion, because these details are very important. So we're going to take our time on it. All right. We're going to the Targums now, verse 16 through 20, to finish off this chapter 22. All right. 16 through 20. Okay, here we go at the bottom. Let's see, 20. All right. Right here. Let's see. Three. Okay, here we go. All right, that's what we're reading right here, 16 through 20. And the angel of the Most High called to Abraham the second time from heaven and said, by my word have I sworn, says the Adon, for as much as thou hast done this thing and has not withheld thy son, thy only begotten, that in blessing I will bless thee. In multiplying, I will multiply thy sons as the stars of the heaven, and they shall be as the sand which is upon the shore of the sea. And thy sons shall inherit the cities before their enemies, and all the peoples of the earth shall be blessed through the righteousness of thy son, because thou hast obeyed my word. And the angels on high took Isaac and brought him into the school of Shem the Great. So remember, we in the book of Jasher, it says Abraham said, I'm going to go take him to Shem and Eber. Well, this happens. It just happens right after the sacrifice. But it does happen. And he was there 3 years. And in the same day, Abraham returned to his young men, which is Ishmael, Eleazar, and they arose and went together to the well of Seven. Remember, that's Beersheba. And Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. And it was after these things, after Abraham had bound Isaac, that Satan came and told unto Sarah that Abraham had killed Isaac. And Sarah arose and cried out and was strangled and died from agony. But Abraham had come and was resting in the way. And this is where we lead right into chapter 23. So let's get it. Chapter 23, we're going to just read verses 1 and 2.
Genesis 23. And Sarah was 127 years old. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kirjath Arba, the same as Hebron in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah, and to weep for her. And Abraham stood up from before his dead.
So just like that, in the Bible, it goes from the Isaac being put up for sacrifice to Sarah being dead. No context, but that's the point. It is clearly telling us that there's supposed to be another book to tell us what's going on, right? They don't even give any insight. Just Sarah's dead in Hebron, which is not where they lived at. So how did Sarah get in Hebron, and why did Sarah die? Well, we got a little preview of that at the very last verse, end of chapter 22. But let's go to Jasher now. Jasher, we're going to read Jasher 23, verses 58 to 73. Oh, one second. I think it might be okay, yeah. Did I put the hold on, I think I put the wrong starting verse. I'm not supposed to start that high up. Is it 68? One second. Here we go. It's supposed to be 70. Oh, yeah, I put the wrong. One second. So I wrote down the wrong notes. So it's 76. Oh, my bad. I did put it. I'm still looking at chapter 22. Yeah, 76 to 90. There we go. I did write the right thing, just looking at the wrong page. So the rest of this chapter. All right. Here we go. Right. All right. All right, 76 through 90. And Satan went to Sarah, and he appeared to her in the figure of an old man, very humble and meek. And Abraham was yet engaged in the burnt offering before the Most High. And he said unto her, dost thou not know all the work that Abraham has made with thy only son this day? For he took Isaac and built an altar, and he killed him and brought him up as a sacrifice upon the altar. And Isaac cried and wept before his father, but he looked not at him, neither did he have compassion over him. And Satan repeated these words, and he went away from her. And Sarah heard all the words of Satan, and she imagined him to be an old man from amongst the sons of men who had been with her son, and had come and told her these things. So we just witnessed Isaac and Abraham, what they did with Satan. And now we're seeing the other side. And sadly, Sarah fails. She fails to use the ruach, and she acts on emotion, and she makes assumptions, just like here, verse 78 is a total assumption. She just assumed that it was someone there, da-da-da-da-da. Did she not think that this does not sound like my husband? Neither did he have compassion over him. Like Abraham just went up there and had no compassion over Isaac. But this is what the Hasatan uses. He uses your heart and your emotions. And Hasatan knows how Sarah feels about Isaac. And and Sarah lifted up her voice and wept and cried out bitterly on the account of her son. And she threw herself upon the ground, and she cast dust upon her head. And she said, "Oh, my son, Isaac, my son, oh, that I had this day died instead." Remember what we said at the beginning of this chapter. Beginning of this reading. Your words are powerful. What did Sarah say? Oh, that, I hate when it does that. Oh, that I had this day died instead of thee. Well, that's exactly what happened, Sarah. And she continued to weep and said, "It grieves me for thee, oh my son Isaac. Oh, that I had died this day in thy stead." And she still continued to weep and said, "It grieves me for thee after that I have reared thee and have brought thee up. Now my joy is turned into mourning over thee. I that had a longing for thee and cried and prayed to Elohim till I bare thee at 90 years old. And now hast thou served this day for the knife and the fire and to be made an offering? But I console myself with thee, my son, it is being the word of the Adon, for thou didst perform the command of thy Elohai. For who can transgress the word of Elohai? Who in whose hands is the soul of every living creature? So Sarah somewhat calms herself down somewhat and just says, well, I understand if this was for the Most High, right? But she still doesn't, stop and actually think about the situation at hand. Thou art just, O Adon, our Elohim, for all thy works are good and righteous, for I also am rejoiced with thy word, which thou didst command. And while my eye weepeth bitterly, my heart rejoiceth. And Sarah laid her head upon the bosom of one of her handmaids, and she became as still as a stone. And she afterwards rose up and went about making inquiries till she came to Hebron. So that's how she came to a whole nother place that she didn't live out of nowhere. And she inquired of all those whom she met walking in the road, and no one could tell her what had happened to her son. And she came with her maid servants and men servants to that place, which is Hebron. And she asked concerning her son, and she remained there while she sent some of her servants to seek where Abraham had gone with Isaac. And they went to seek him in the house of Shem and Eber, and they could not find him. And they sought throughout the land, and he was not there. And behold, Satan came to Sarah in the shape of an old man, and he came and stood before her, and he said unto her, I spoke falsely unto thee. Oh, so cold. Oh my goodness. Satan is so cold for this. For Abraham did not kill his son, and he is not dead. And when she heard the word, her joy was so exceedingly violent on the account of her son that her soul went out through joy. She died and was gathered to her people. So it looks like Hasatan knew Sarah's heart. It sounded like she had like a heart attack, some type of thing, something, that made her. We got to remember, she's 100 and some years old. She walked all the way to Hebron. Her heart rate's got to be 1,000 miles an hour. And then Satan goes and pushes her off the edge with this jump of joy. And it's just crazy. And when Abraham had finished his service, he returned with his son Isaac to his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and they came home, and Abraham sought for Sarah and could not find her, and made inquiries concerning her. And they said unto him, she went as far as Hebron to seek you both where you had gone, for thus she was informed. And Abraham and Isaac went to her to Hebron, and when they found that she was dead, they lifted up their voices and wept bitterly over her. And Isaac fell upon his mother's face and wept over her. And he said, "Oh, my mother, how hast thou left me? And where hast thou gone? Oh, how hast thou left me?" And Abraham and Isaac wept greatly, and all their servants wept with them on account of Sarah, and they mourned over her a great and heavy mourning. Wow. Very touching. This is a very touching Torah portion. All right. All right. Back to the reading. We're going to read 3 through 20, which is the entirety of the rest of this chapter. So let's get it.
And spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying unto him, Hear us, my lord. Thou art a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchres bury thy dead. None of us shall withhold from thee his sepulchre, but that thou mayest bury thy dead. And Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, even to the children of Heth. And he communed with them, saying, If it be your mind that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and entreat for me to Ephron the son of Zoar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he hath, which is in the end of his field. For as much money as it is worth, he shall give it me for a possession of a burying place amongst you. And Ephron dwelt among the children of Heth. And Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the audience of the children of Heth, even of all that went in at the gate of his city, saying, Nay, my lord, hear me. The field give I thee, and the cave that is therein I give it thee. In the presence of the sons of my people give I it thee. Bury thy dead. And Abraham bowed down himself before the people of the land. And he spake unto Ephron in the audience of the people of the land, saying, But if thou wilt give it, I pray thee, hear me. I will give thee money for the field. Take it of me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying unto him, My lord, hearken unto me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that betwixt me and thee? Bury therefore thy dead. And Abraham hearkened unto Ephron, and Abraham weighed to Ephron the silver, which he had named in the audience of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, current money, with the merchant. And the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was therein, and all the trees that were in the field, that were in all the borders round about, were made sure unto Abraham for a possession in the presence of the children of Heth, before all that went in at the gate of his city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre. The same is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And the field and the cave that is therein were made sure unto Abraham for a possession of a burying place by the sons of Heth.
So we see that the field, the cave that is therein, were made sure unto Abraham for a possession of a burial place, because spoiler alert, Abraham will be buried next to her, and Abraham is righteous through and through. And so one of the details that I just want to jump to in the book of Jasher is just how clear he wanted to make this a possession of a burial place of his people. We go into Jasher 24, verse 7. Jasher 24, verse 7. And Ephron and all his brethren heard this, and Abraham weighed to Ephron 400 shekels of silver in the hands of Ephron and in the hands of all his brethren. And Abraham wrote this transaction. So he weighed it, paid the man, he wrote a transaction, wrote it and testified it with 4 witnesses. So we have the exact measurement of 400 shekels of silver, a written transaction, and 4 witnesses. So that's the details of what it says in the Masoretic, when it says, we made sure unto Abraham, or made sure under Abraham that it would be a possession. Because, I mean, goodness, Abraham took it very serious. Right there in Jasher 24, verse 7. Now we're going to go to Jubilees 19. Jubilees 19, I'm going to read verse 2 through 8. And in the first year of the 3rd week of this Jubilee, the days of the life of Sarah were accomplished, and she died in Hebron. And Abraham went to mourn over her and bury her. And we tried him to see if his spirit were patient, and he were not indignant. He was not indignant in the words of his mouth. And this is what this Torah portion is about. The words that come out of your mouth are very powerful, right? And he was found patient in this and was not disturbed. For in patience of spirit, he conversed with the children of Heth. I mean, I can't get over how righteous Abraham is. Like, his wife dies, and they're just saying that he kept his composure. He was patient with the children of Heth. They tried him, and he didn't provoke the Most High and was angry with them. I mean, Abraham, solid as a rock, man, to the intent that they should give him a place in which to bury his dead. And the Most High gave him grace before all who saw him. And he besought in gentleness the sons of Heth, and they gave him the land of the double cave over against Emory, that is Hebron, for 400 pieces of silver. And they besought him, saying, we shall give it to thee for nothing. But he would not take it from the hands for nothing, for he gave the price for the place, the money in full, and he bowed down before them twice. And after this, he buried his dead in the double cave. And all the days of the life of Sarah were 127 years. That is 2 jubilees and 4 weeks and 1 year. And these are the days of the years of the life of Sarah. This is the 10th trial wherewith Abraham was tried, and he was found faithful, patient in spirit. Goals. All right. Yeah, I remember those kittens. I think it was it the first or second Torah portion? Those kittens that was on the bed behind me. They up running around acting crazy behind me now. All right. Where am I at? I just read Jubilees. Okay, that is completion of chapter 23. Moving on to 24 now. This. this. Okay. Chapter 24. Verse 1 through 9 first. All right. This is going to play. Okay, 1 second. This is the longest chapter. I definitely wanted to read for me.
Genesis 24.
Here we go. 1 through 9.
And Abraham was old and well stricken in age. And the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house that ruled over all that he had,
Eleazar.
Put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh. And I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that thou shalt
Oh my goodness. Let me blow the trumpet real quick.
Genesis 24. And Abraham was old and well stricken in age. And the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house that ruled over all that he had, Put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh. And I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that thou shalt.
Wow. Come on now. All right, I'll just start reading. Where it says, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac. And the servant said unto him, Peradventure, the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this place. Must I needs bring thy son again unto the land from which thou camest? And Abraham said unto him, Beware thou that thou bring not my son thither again. Haya Elohim of heaven, which took me from my father's house and from the land of my kindred, and which spoke unto me, and that swear unto me, saying, Unto thy seed will I give this land. He shall send his angel before thee, and thou shalt take a wife unto my son from thence. And if the woman will not be willing to follow thee, then thou shalt be clear from this oath, from this my oath. Only bring not my son thither again. And the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swear to him concerning that matter. All right, just a couple of points here. So that was 1 through 9. In the Targum, let me see. This is 24. I'm going to read verse 2 and then verse 9, verse 2 and 9 in the Targum, just for the details of the under the thigh. So we see in verse 2, he called his eldest servant, which we're about to read, that is Eleazar. That's been very prominent in the story. And then thy hand under my thigh. Just read a little different, so let's read it. And Abraham said to Eleazar, his servant, the senior of his house, who had rule over all this property, put now thy hand upon the section of my circumcision. I don't know exactly what's this supposed to look like. I'm not trying to even paint a picture. It could just be grabbing right next to his growing area is what I'm thinking. But the point is the circumcision is that this is the promise has everything to do with his circumcision. That's the whole point of me pointing this out, is that it's not just like just putting his hand under his thigh. It's putting his hand in the section of his circumcision, because circumcision represents an oath, right? A covenant between us and our Creator. It looks like it's being used for the same objective as making a promise from Eleazar to Abraham, is that he's using the area of his circumcision. And then in verse 9 as well, it says, after Abraham said all of what he wanted Eleazar to do, and the servant put his hand upon the circumcised part of Abraham his Lord and swear to him according to this thing. Just throwing that out there. Thought it was pretty interesting. Yes, we will get into that part next week, Liz. Yes, the same area that the angel touched Jacob. But that area represents a promised covenant, right? All right. I think, yep. All right, so now we're going to get through the bulk of it. So we're about to read, because the rest is a whole story of Eleazar going to find Rebekah. So this is 10 verses 10 through 60. So I really want this reading to work. I'm going to give it one more try.
Genesis 24. Genesis 24.
Of course it's doing this. Hasatan's like, you're going to have to read it if you want to finish this Torah portion. Fine. I will. So be it. So be it. All right. 10 through 60. Of course, the longest chapter I'm going to have to read. That's okay. I got it. I got it. Fun fact about me, y'all. I hated reading out loud in school. If they were doing like popcorn and passing the reading to folks, I hated it. Now it's all I do, right? I'm stuck. The Most High is like, you're stuck reading out loud for the rest of your life, Rob. You're going to keep reading out loud every single week. All right, this last chance. I'm really trying to get this to work, but it looks like it's at stalemate, so that's fine. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, 10 through 60. Let's roll. Come on, get out the way if you're not going to do nothing. All right. And the servant took 10 camels of the camels of his master and departed, for all the goods of his master were in his hand. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia unto the city of Norah. And he made his camels to kneel down without the city by a well of water at that time of the evening, even the time that women go out to draw water. And he said, "Oh, Hiya of my master Abraham, I pray thee, send me good speed this day, and show kindness unto my master Abraham. Behold, I stand here by the well of the water, and the daughters of the men of the city come out to draw water. And let it come to pass that the damsel to whom I shall say, let down thy pitcher, I pray thee, that I may drink. And she shall say, drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. Let the same be she that thou hast appointed for thy servant Isaac, and thereby shall I know that thou hast showed kindness unto my master." And it came to pass before he had done speaking that, behold, Rebekah came out, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Norah, Abraham's brother, with her pitcher upon her shoulder. And the damsel was very fair to look upon, a virgin, neither had any man known her. That's just, I've given the definition of a virgin, right? Remember, the scriptures give definitions for the words. And she went down to the well and filled her pitcher and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, let me, I pray thee, drink a little water of thy pitcher. And she said, drink, my lord. And she hasted and let down her pitcher upon her hand and gave him drink. And when she had done giving him drink, she said, I will draw water for thy camels also until they have done drinking. And she hasted and emptied her pitcher into the trough and ran again unto the well to draw water and drew for all his camels. And the man, wondering at her, held his peace, to wit, whether Hiya had made his journey prosperous or not. And it came to pass, as the camels had done drinking, that the man took a golden earring of half a shekel weight and 2 bracelets for her hands of 10 shekels weight of gold. And just to pause right there, since I'm the one doing the reading, this is the closest thing to like wedding jewelry, y'all. Earring and bracelets. The traditional wedding band, especially on the ring finger, man, that's all Babylonian stuff that goes back to ancient Egypt. That stuff is nowhere in scripture. Wedding, any type of wedding ring on any finger, is specifically the ring finger. It's all Babylonian traditions. This is the closest you'll find to jewelry being connected to an engagement. Just going to throw that out there. Well, like I said, I'm specifically just talking about weddings, wedding engagements. I'm not saying because Joseph was given a ring, not saying that they didn't wear rings or jewelry. So I just want to specify. I'm talking about a wedding engagement. All right. And said, verse 23, and said, whose daughter art thou? Tell me, I pray thee. Is there room in thy father's house for us to lodge in? And she said unto him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, which she bare unto Nahor. This is how people identify themselves back in the day. There was no such thing as last names. You gave your name, and then you gave who your father was, and that is what identified you. Last names is a westernized culture. This is why the westernized God, Jesus, is structured to have a last name. That's why he's called Jesus Christ. Sounds like someone with a last name. But Messiah doesn't have a last name. You don't say Yasha Messiah like it's one word. No, Yasha, Yeshaya, that's his name. He could be Yasha of Nazareth or Yasha of Joseph, etc. But he don't have a last name. She said, moreover unto him, we have both straw and provender enough and room to lodge in. And the man bowed down his head and worshiped Hiah. And he said, blessed be Hiah of my master Abraham, who has not left destitute of my father of his mercy and his truth. I being in the way, Hiah led me to the house of my master's brethren, and the damsel ran and told them of her mother's house these things. And Rebekah had a brother, and his name was Laban. And Laban ran out unto the man, unto the well. And it came to pass when he saw the earring and the bracelet upon his sister's hands, and when he heard the words of Rebekah, his sister, saying, thus spake the man unto me, that he came unto the man. And behold, he stood by the camels at the well. And he said, come in, thou blessed of the Most High. Wherefore standest thou without? For I have prepared the house and room for the camels. And the man came into the house, and he ungirded his camels and gave straw and provender for the camels and water to wash his feet and the men's feet that were with him. And there was set meat before him to eat, but he said, I will not eat until I have told my errand. And he said, speak on. And he said, I am Abraham's servant. And the Most High has blessed my master greatly, and he is become great. And he has given him flocks and herds and silver and gold and men servants and maid servants and camels and asses. And Sarah, my master's wife, bare a son to my master when she was old, and unto him has he given all that he has. And my master made me swear, saying, thou shalt not take a wife to my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell. But thou shalt go unto my father's house, to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son. And I said unto my master, peradventure the woman will not follow me. And he said unto me, Hiah, before whom I walk, will send his angel with thee and prosper thy way, and thou shalt take a wife from my son of my kindred and of my father's house. Then shalt thou be clear from this my oath. When thou comest to my kindred, and if they give not thee one, thou shalt be clear from my oath. And I came this day unto the well, and said, O Hiah of my master Abraham, if now thou do prosper my way which I go, behold, I stand by the well of water, and it shall come to pass that when the virgin cometh forth to draw water, and I say to her, give me, I pray thee, a little water of thy pitcher to drink. And she said to me, both drink thou, and I will also draw for the camels, thy camels. Let the same be the woman whom Hiah has appointed out for my master's son. And before I had done speaking in my heart, behold, Rebekah came forth with her pitcher on her shoulder, and she went down unto the well and drew water. And I said unto her, let me drink, I pray thee. And she made haste. So obviously, we already read this, but they felt the need for Eleazar to repeat everything of this chapter. So here we are. And she made haste and let down her pitcher from her shoulder and said, drink, and I will give thee thy camels drink also. So I drank, and she made the camels drink also. And I asked her and said, whose daughter art thou? And she said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bare unto him. And I put the earring upon her face and the braces upon her hands, and I bowed down my head and worshipped Hiah and blessed the Most High Elohim of my master Abraham, which had led me in the right way to take my master's brother's daughter unto his son. And now, if ye will deal kindly and truly with my master, and tell me, and if not, tell me that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. And Laban and Bethuel answered and said, the thing proceedeth from the Most High. We cannot speak unto thee bad or good. Behold, Rebekah is before thee. Take her and go, and let her be thy master's son's wife, as Hiah has spoken. And it came to pass that when Abraham's servant heard their words, he worshipped Hiah, bowing himself to the earth. And the servant brought forth jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment, and gave them to Rebekah. He gave also to her brother and to her mother precious things. And they did eat and drink, and he and the men that were with him, and tarried all night. And they rose up in the morning, and he said, send me away unto my master. And her brother and her mother, this is very important. This is very important detail. Upon waking up in the morning, we see he's talking to Jess, her brother, and Jess, her mother. Why is he not talking to the head of the household, Bethuel? We'll see. Said, let the damsel abide with us a few days, at least 10. After that she shall go. And he said unto them, hinder me not, seeing Hiah has prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my master. And they said, we will call the damsel and inquire her mouth. And they called Rebekah and said unto her, wilt thou go with this man? And she said, I will go. And they sent away Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rebekah and said unto her, thou art our sister, be thou the mother of thousands of millions, and let thy seed prosper the gate of those which hate them. Woo! Okay, let's go right over into the Targums, verse 33. Verse 33. Let's see. All right, here we go. Verse 33, very important detail. That's what I was talking about. We're going to see in the Targum, after they were invited into the home, the man entered the house. Laban took care of his camels, and Laban set in order before him to eat. So remember that let's go up real quick. There was set meat before Eleazar, and he said, I will not eat until I have told my errand. All right. He set the meat before him to eat prepared food in which was poison to kill. Wow. You're like, why though? But he objected to it and said, I will not eat until I have spoken my words. So the original meat that was given to Eleazar was poisonous. All right, that being said, at least according to the Targums. But even though I don't have a second witness of this, I just showed you. The Bible actually does show us that something happened. So we go down now to, we're going to read same chapter. We're in chapter 24 of the Targums. We're going to read 54 to 58 now. Now I just got to find it. All right. All right. Here we go. We're to 58. Right here. All right. And they ate and drank, he and the men who were with him, and passed the night. And he arose in the morning and said, send me away to my master. But as they were talking in the evening, Bethuel had eaten of the prepared food, and in the morning they found that he was dead. When we go back, you see that around this time, they don't they don't have so many details, but you'll see well, that's still going on. Bethuel is still alive. Then you'll see that it starts leaving out Bethuel after the initial conversation. It says that Eleazar gave everything he had to her brother, Laban, and to her mother. There's no father involved all the way until the morning when her brother and mother, Bethuel is gone because he died. And then we keep reading now. Bethuel had eaten of that prepared food, and in the morning they found that he was dead. And the brother and mother, said, therefore, let the damsel, this is why they wanted the damsel to stay, because they were mourning the loss of their father. Let the damsel dwell with us in the days 1 year or 10 months, even though I think that says 10 days. Yeah, this says at least 10. This is saying much longer. Then she shall go. And he said, hinder me not. When the Most High has prospered my way, let me depart, and I will go to my master. And they said, we will call Rebecca and hear what she has to say. And, Rebecca says she will go. All right, so real quick, we're going to take a slight detour now, because I want to make sense of why Laban did that. It's because Laban is not a good person. He's actually pretty prominent to the story with right here with Rebecca and with Jacob. Jacob actually goes and stays with Laban later on. And so I want to go to Jasher just to show, it doesn't say why Laban did it, but I'll show you that Laban is just not a good person. Let me see. And so I'm taking on a little detour. I'm pointing out a few points of just showing you who Laban is. Like I told you, later on, the daughters of Laban is Rachel and Leah, if you didn't know that. The father of Rachel and Leah is this same person that just tried to poison Eleazar that ended up killing his father because of that reckless act. And this guy's never really a good guy, but you know, he's a part of the story one way or another. So just showing you a few, I'm not going to go into the story. It's just going to show some punchlines to show you who he is. This is, Jasher 31, verse 40. And Rachel stole her father's, which is Laban, like I told you, Rachel's father, Laban. And Rachel stole her father's images, and she took them and she concealed them upon the camel upon which she sat, and she went. And this image is described in verse 41. It's witchcraft. I'll read it real quick. And this is the manner of the images. In taking a man who is the firstborn and slaying him, and taking the hair off his head, and taking salt and salting the head and anointing it in oil, then taking a small tablet of copper or a tablet of gold and writing the name upon it, and placing the tablet upon his tongue, and taking the head with the tablet under the tongue and putting it in the house, and lighting up lights before it and bowing down to it. This is a pagan witchcraft altar. You can Google altars that look like this. Laban did witchcraft. All right, that's just the first point. Laban did not serve the Most High. And if he did do things for the Most High, it was double-minded, very clearly double-minded. He did witchcraft, all right? And then let's go to same chapter, verse 64. He sent messengers to Esau, and let's see what happens. And Esau heard all the words of Laban's messengers, and his anger was greatly kindled against Jacob. So Laban sent messengers to Esau to sabotage Jacob, just summarizing what this verse is about. So he's trying to sabotage Jacob. Not a good person. Let's go to chapter 32 real quick, 32 verse 3. For I have been these 20 years with Laban, and he deceived me and changed my wages 10 times, as it has all been already told unto my Lord. So even later on, Jacob tells Esau that Laban's not a good guy, bro. He's not a good guy. So he deceives, we know about the switcheroo of Rachel and Leah. And then to cap it off, chapter 36, verse 7. And guess how he was judged? And Laban, the Syrian, died in those days, for the Most High smote him because he transgressed the covenant that existed between him and Jacob. I just read Jasher, in order of all the stuff with Laban was Jasher 31 verse 40 and verse 40 and verse 64. So 31 40, 31 64. And then I read 32 verse 3, and then the last one right here is 36 and 7. All Jasher. And so that I felt the need to summarize who Laban is to make that make sense. He's just not a good person at all. So now you know. All right, let's finish this chapter off. 61 to 67. And Rebekah arose and her damsels, and they rode upon the camels and followed the man. And the servant took Rebekah and went his way, And Isaac came from the way of the well, for he dwelt in the south country. We're going to read more of this in the Targums of where he was at. Is Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the eventide, and he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she lighted off the camel. That's interesting. For she had said unto the servant, what man is this that walketh in the field to meet us? And the servant has said, it is my master. Therefore she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all things that he had done. And Isaac brought her into his mother's Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. All right, just going to read 62 through 65 in the Targums now. 62 through 65. Okay, here we go. So right here, it tells us, remember, after the whole, I'm assuming with the storyline, it says that Isaac was there with her, with the search of the mother, and he cried with his father Abraham in Hebron. I'm assuming after that, Isaac went to the school of prophets, and it's confirmed in multiple books of that, because right here now, where was, because right here it says that Isaac pretty much was coming from somewhere, right? Yeah, Isaac came from the way of the well of La Hey Ro, whichever. And so that exact the point where he was coming from, Isaac was coming from the school of Rabbi Shem, by the way of the fountain where he had been revealed to him the living and eternal one. So he came the way of the fountain, but it was from the school of prophets with Shem and Eber, who seeth and is not seen, and he resided in the land of the south. All right. And Isaac went forth to pray upon the face of the field at the time of evening, and lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were approaching. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes and saw Isaac, and she bowed upon the camel, and she said to the servant, who is the man so majestic and graceful? Wow, she liked what she saw. Who walks in the field before us? And the servant said, he is my master. And she took a veil and covered herself. And yeah, we'll stop there. Why not? We'll read the rest. It has a little cool line to it. And the servant related to Isaac everything he had done, and Isaac introduced her into the tabernacle of Sarah, his mother. Thereupon the light again shined, which had gone out at the time of Sarah's death. And he took Rebekah, and she was his wife, and he loved her. For he saw her works, that they were upright as the works of his mother. And Isaac was consoled after his mother's death. What a nice way to end this emotional Torah portion. We're just going to read half of the next chapter, and that will be the conclusion. 1 through 18. Let's see if this wants to read. It's like, nope, we're not doing any more reading. Okay. Whatever. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah, and she bare him Zimran and Jokshan and Medim and Median and Ishbak and Shua, and Jokshan begat Sheba and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Shuam and Letushim and Leuim. And the sons of Median, even, okay, y'all get it. Y'all can read that yourselves in your head. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac, but unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived, eastward unto the east country. And these are the days of the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 160 years. And Abraham gave up the ghosts, the Ruach. We're not ghosts. This translation of like the Holy Ghost and stuff is not good. The Ruach. He gave it up and died in a good old age and old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. And his son Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, the son of Zorar the Hittite, which is before Mamre, the field which Abraham purchased of the sons of Heth. There was Abraham buried, and Sarah his wife. Yeah, see, mentioned that earlier. This is why he made it so sure, because this was going to be a burial site for his family on. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that Elohim blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt by the well La Harod. Now these are the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names according to their generations, the firstborn of Ishmael. And yeah, read all of that in your head right now. Let's move on. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are the names by their towns and by their castles, 12 princes according to their nations. And these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. And he gave up the Ruach and died, and was gathered unto his people. And they dwelt from, yes, last verse, dwelt from Havilah unto Shur, that is before Egypt, as thou goest towards Assyria. And he died in the presence of all his brethren. All right, let's go look at verse 1:1 in chapter 25. We see it says, then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. The Targum says something very interesting about this woman. And Abraham added and took a wife, and her name was Keturah. She is Hagar, who had been bound to him from the beginning. Wowzers. What? I was in shock. I was like, okay. I didn't expect that. So they're saying that Abraham technically only had two wives, Sarah and Hagar. And Hagar, he took Hagar back. I'm assuming, obviously, Hagar wasn't with another man. Obviously, she was single. And yeah, I know that some of the laws at Mount Sinai was specifically for the children of Israel, meaning the laws wasn't 100% the same for Abraham, because in the Torah, it's for the children of Israel. It says that you can't take a wife that you divorce that is with another man. But obviously, she was single and she was not with another man. And last but not least, wanted to read one thing here. Let me see. And I wanted to read about Ishmael. What verse is this? Let me get the verse for y'all. Verse 17. I lost it. Verse 17, chapter 25 in the Targum. Just this one line here. And these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. He was converted in repentance and expired and was gathered to his people. So all glory to the Most High, even through Ishmael, that Ishmael was converted. Even though Ishmael did through the book of Jasher, he knew of the Most High's commandments and he kept the Most High's commandments, but what he did lack, it clarifies that he was in repentance and that he died. So we will see, in other words, we will see Ishmael in the next life. That was confirmed right there. So all glory to our Creator. And that is the completion of this Torah portion. That was 22 through 25, verse 18. And next week we start in the middle of 25, which is the beginning of Jacob and Esau. I pray that y'all have a blessed week, and I'll see y'all on the flip side.